Welcome to Two Open Doors, the podcast that explores our power to open or close the doors of relationship with the important people in our lives. We hope you'll learn from and share your wisdom with our community. Thanks for joining us. Relationship hierarchy is the notion that relationships can be compared with one another and ranked, with some being deemed more valuable or more important than others. Sometimes relationship hierarchy is implicit rather than being stated explicitly. As an example, that is the case with traditional monogamous marriages. Since hierarchical ranking involves the application of value judgments, such ranking has significant implications. In this post, we'll explore how hierarchy works and how it plays into the relationships it touches. What is hierarchy? In a hierarchy, entities are compared with one another according to some value yardstick, and those which are evaluated as better are ranked above the others. Typically, those which are deemed better receive different, better treatment than the others. We need to consider several aspects of such a comparison. Which entities are being compared? What values are used to determine which entity is better than others? And what are the implications for the outcome of such comparisons? Let's examine these ideas in the context of relationships. First, relationships are a rather abstract set of things to try to compare to one another. Relationships have many attributes: what value they bring to participants, how much time, energy, or other investment they require to maintain, what personal preferences they reflect, and what constraints they may entail, such as exclusivity of partners, etc. Invariably, stacking up relationships against one another involves the exercise of personal judgment. That judgment reflects the judge's personal values and preferences, social norms and expectations, the goals for the relationship, and other factors. While the two partners in a relationship may make the same rough assessment of the value of their relationship, they almost certainly differ in the specifics of how they make their assessment. We can ask ourselves, why does hierarchy matter? Perhaps the biggest challenge in applying hierarchical judgments to relationships is that they can bring the relationship partners into conflict. For example, if one partner sees a particular relationship as very valuable and desirable, that partner may divert a disproportionate amount of interest and energy into that relationship, at the cost of other relationships, potentially including an existing committed relationship. Time and energy are finite quantities for any human being, no matter how energetic and flexible a person is. If other relationships suffer as a result, the participants in those relationships are likely to resent the associated shift in attention and investment. If a relationship is deemed less important or less interesting, that is, placed lower in the relationship hierarchy, the participants in the displaced relationships are likely to feel undervalued and underserved. We all want to feel valued, especially in the core relationships that are so important to us. To have a partner look elsewhere for satisfaction undermines our sense of trust and security in our own relationship. That's not an unreasonable response. Lack of presence and attention from our partner can leave us feeling emotionally starved and insecure. Thus, we seek to have our own relationship be high or at the top in our partner's relationship hierarchy. How does hierarchy apply in marriage? In the institution of marriage, as in other forms of deeply committed relationships, one's relationship with a spouse or life partner is presumed to be the most important relationship in one's life, other than possibly a parent's relationship with children. That's the idea behind being the soulmate or the one and only for one's life partner. For each of the two partners, all other relationships are deemed to be of lesser import. That is true of friends and even of other family members. In a functioning marriage, the people outside the marital bond recognize and respect the special closeness and commitment that exists between only the married couple. One can think of the couple as occupying the center of a circle of closeness, with less central other relationships existing at an increasing distance from the center of that circle. Thus, for example, business colleagues or other acquaintances would be at a greater outward distance than would be one's friends, who would in turn be further out than one's family members. All of this seems reasonable. Relationships take energy to maintain, so it's important to put one's finite resources into one's most important relationships. So, is there any problem with applying a hierarchical relationship model to traditional relationships such as marriage? The short answer is no, as long as that one committed relationship is working well and fills both partners' needs and desires. Unfortunately, that is not always the case, as we can infer from the current best estimate that 45% of U.S. marriages end in divorce. As an additional consideration, younger people seem to be turning away from traditional marriage in large numbers, reducing the holding power of traditional marriage over that growing segment of the population. These realities suggest that it's worth thinking about the utility of hierarchical relationships in modern society. At the least, it's worth considering the potential value of non-hierarchical relationships. Are there alternatives to hierarchy? Since we human beings are very given to making comparisons, it's probably not very fruitful to think in terms of avoiding hierarchy altogether. Comparisons are especially likely to occur in the early stages of a relationship, during which the new relationship energy, or NRE, that envelops the partners is a distraction from attending to and recognizing the value of existing relationships. Is there an alternative? Can one build a life around relationships that at least reduce, if not eliminate, hierarchical comparisons? Thinking about this sets one on a path of considering what makes a relationship valuable. No two people are identical. In a relationship, each offers unique benefits and strengths, as well as weaknesses and foibles. Do you prefer vanilla or chocolate, or perhaps some other flavor? Your answer determines which item you're likely to choose from a dessert menu. So too, different close relationships offer different benefits. In our society, people are expected, or socially constrained actually, to choose and fully invest oneself in one life partner. That's what monogamy is. However, other societies have allowed for other arrangements, including polyamory, which is multiple intimate sexual partners, polygamy, or multiple wives for one husband, and polyandry, or multiple husbands for one wife. In contrast with monogamous marriage, any such non-monogamous arrangement entails two or more partnerships that need to be maintained and nurtured. That reality brings up questions of hierarchy. Let's consider the case of a polyamorous polycule, which consists of two or more pairwise interconnected relationships. To be specific, let's consider the case of a male who is in intimate relationship with two females. Let's say that the male and one of the females is in a traditional marriage and that they're inviting a second female into their relationship. Traditional marriage is, as we've noted, a hierarchical relationship. The wife in such an arrangement is likely to have, and perhaps demand, special privileges and considerations due to the marital bond. In terms of priority for consideration, that is likely to position the non-spouse female partner as secondary or less than the wife. And such an asymmetrical arrangement is likely to prove unacceptable to the slighted partner. In such a case, the hierarchical relationship, which entails what is often referred to as couple privilege, can lead to a dissolution of the polycule. Either the secondary partner will leave, or perhaps the primary partner or wife will. Is there anything to be done in trying to avoid such an unsatisfactory outcome? Reducing the degree of difference or hierarchy in the relationships could well make for a more viable situation. Of course, that is feasible only with good communication and negotiation between the three individuals and with the privileged wife's willingness to make psychic and physical room for the second partner. Such concessions occur regularly within the polyamory community, whose mature members are adept at managing their relationships as well as their own emotional reactions. Though, make no mistake, such difficult arrangements don't always work out, just as the agreements in a traditional marriage don't always work out. In polyamory, flexibility and mutual caring accommodation often allow extended interlinked relationships to thrive. As described above, relationship hierarchy is safe only in healthy monogamous relationships that preclude a need or desire for other relationships. Such circumstances involve only one central relationship, so hierarchy does not become a relevant consideration. However, such happy circumstances may well not last indefinitely. In situations that involve a person in more than one committed relationship, hierarchy becomes a very relevant consideration. In general, hierarchy is hard to maintain, and it can be the source of numerous serious relationship challenges. Some individuals are willing to participate in an intimate relationship in which they do not seek a co-equal role with another partner. As long as that works for them, all is well. In many or even most multi-partner relationships, though, finding oneself in a less-than position relative to another partner will probably chafe and thus lead to relationship instability. In those frequently occurring cases, the most promising path to a peaceful and satisfying coexistence is to minimize the difference in treatment that are characteristic of hierarchical relationship. Of course, each human relationship is unique, and long-standing relationships acquire a patina of shared experiences that a newer relationship cannot match. Recognizing that is both human and fair, but for the sake of the entire connected set of relationships, it is wise not to let such special shared experience overshadow the value brought by other relationships. It's crucial that all relationship partners feel respected and valued. To learn more about Two Open Doors and to engage with our community, I'd like to invite you to visit the Two Open Doors website at twoopendoors.com, the Two Open Doors private Facebook group, and the Two Open Doors meetup group. I also invite you to contact me directly by writing to me at Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E, at twoopendoors.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll use your inputs to guide my work on future blog posts and podcast episodes. Thanks for visiting Two Open Doors.